Welcome, welcome. Today we're going to do another class with just 4 postures. We're going to be transitioning through those postures in the beginning to just kind of get the fundamentals down, and then we'll flow through them in a short little class, adding in different stretches here and there, adding different rotations, moving through all of the planes of motion, and creating a nice little class for us with just these 4 postures. So today we're going to be doing tabletop, low lunge, pyramid, and wide-legged forward fold. So as you can see, I have blocks here to kind of help us move through those transitions and a blanket for underneath my knees. So if you want to join me getting set up with whatever it is that you would like to use, and we're going to start in tabletop on the mat. So I have placed these blocks here kind of towards the top of my mat, just to prep from going from tabletop to low lunge as a little bit of a support there. So starting off in our tabletop, we're going to get a nice wide stance with our hands. So spreading those fingers out nice and wide, taking them underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. So just getting a nice strong foundation first. Grounding down, feeling our presence here on the mat. So feeling each and every finger press just lightly into the mat. Feeling the heel of the hand, noticing the knees. And we're going to think about that spine getting nice and long. So the crown of the head, the very, very top of that head, imagining as if it's stretching out beyond. And that tailbone, thinking about it growing nice and long beyond us. A nice long spine here. And think about adding in some movement. We'll flow through a few cat and cow. So on your inhale, lowering that belly, that booty goes up towards the air, and we're pulling the chest through those triceps forward. Exhale, pushing the mat away. Pull the pelvis towards the chest, round the back, gaze down. Moving with your breath here. Inhale to drop the belly. Exhale to round the back. So twice more. And then coming back to a nice long spine, crown of the head nice and tall, tailbone nice and long. Creating circles over those wrists in one direction, still keeping the fingers planted into that mat, so nice and firm here. And then we'll slowly go in the other direction. Just little wrist and spinal warm-ups here. Then we're going to come to stillness. So using our blocks, we're going to take the blocks at the high setting and just move them back like they're underneath the shoulders. We're going to shift the weight into that left knee and step the right foot forward in between those blocks. So we're setting up for a low lunge here. If you don't need the blocks, you can just simply step forward. So we're going to inhale, putting that weight in the front foot. Begin to lift the chest, reaching the hands up overhead. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, we're going to see if we can just release those shoulders just a little bit away from the ears. Inhale, we're going to push into that foot as we just slide forward. So we're pushing that knee forward. It comes in front of the ankle, and we're sending those hip points forward as well. Exhale to come back. Moving those hips over that left knee. So this is a good time to check in with those hips, noticing if maybe that right hip is hiked up a little bit. See if we can just soften that down towards the ground. And naturally your left hip is going to rise just slightly here, just so we have a little bit more even hips. And then thinking about those hip points, those front hip points, shining forward here. So they don't have to be exact and square and rigid, but just kind of thinking about that alignment just a little bit here, just to kind of let us have a little bit more balance. So keeping all those things in mind, we'll inhale the hands up. Exhale to lunge forward. Good. Keeping this lunge, we're going to exhale again, bringing those hands down to the block or the floor. We're going to tuck that back toe and then slowly lift that knee up as you extend that front knee as well. So we're working both of our legs to becoming straight. So if we cannot plant that back heel down, we're going to shorten our stance just a hair, or until we can plant that back heel down on the ground. Again, our legs are mostly straight, just keeping a little bend in the knees, and then hinging a little bit more forward if we can. If our hands are on the blocks, letting those elbows bend, allowing that forward fold, or reaching towards the ground here. Having those hands frame the foot. So this is our pyramid pose. If you have those blocks and you would like to travel with them, we're going to rotate that back toe towards the long side of the mat, so towards that left side of the mat. And then we're going to begin to walk those blocks over to the side here as you rotate that front foot to face the side of the mat as well. So landing here, facing the side of the mat. We can have those toes pointed towards the side of the mat or slightly out to the sides. So coming into your forward fold, lowering that head down, our booties are up in the air. Our hands can be on the blocks or maybe reaching them down towards the ground. Our wide-legged forward fold. Nice to just kind of hang out here in the beginning. And if you notice, I have a little bend in my knees here. You can straighten them slightly, but you want to just keep a little bend, keep that blood flowing. We'll take one more exhale here in this forward fold. And then if you're using those blocks or your hands are on the ground, we're going to slowly walk the hands back towards the top of the mat. As we do so, we're rotating those toes towards the front of the mat as well. So coming back into that pyramid pose, you might find you need to readjust the legs, bowing forward. Inhale. As you exhale, we're going to simultaneously bend into both knees. So we're going to begin to bend into that front knee and then lower that back knee down onto the mat. Coming back into our low lunge legs, untuck that back toe, press into that front foot. We're going to inhale, reach those hands up overhead. Exhale, come back down on the floor or those blocks, and then bring that right knee back. Coming back down to our tabletop. So that's that first side. Coming into your tabletop nice and strong. Feeling the length of your spine, crown growing tall, tail growing long. Inhale, we're going to step that left foot forward. So bringing those blocks back or just stepping that foot forward. Planting that foot down into the ground. We'll inhale to slowly lift that chest up. Reach the hands up overhead. Taking time now here in the beginning to check in with those hips. Can we soften that left hip down as that right hip comes up naturally? Our hip points mostly forward. Inhale, the arms up as you lunge forward, bending into that front knee, those hips coming forward as well. Inhale here. Exhale to bring the hands down to the blocks or the floor. Framing that front foot, tuck the back toe. Slowly begin to lift that back knee as you extend that front leg. Checking in with your feet, do we need to shorten our stance so we can bring the heel of that back foot down? Pyramid pose here. Now I have a tendency to kind of roll to the pinky side of my front foot. So just keeping in mind grounding down through the entire sole of the feet. Keeping a little bend in those knees. And then we're going to rotate the back toe towards the long side of the mat. As we walk the hands towards the long side, rotate the front toes towards the sides as well. Finding what's good for your feet here, the toes pointed forward or maybe slightly out. Forward fold here, letting the head come down. Once again, just finding a few breaths here in your forward fold. Keeping a little bend in those knees as always. Grounding down through all sides of those feet. And then on your next inhale, moving everything together, we're walking the hands towards the front as we rotate those toes towards the front as well. Landing in our pyramid, settling in just for a moment. And then we're going to lower the back knee down as we bend into that front knee. Inhale here. Lifting up, reaching the hands up overhead to our low lunge. Shifting forward. Inhale, exhale, we'll bring those hands down to frame the foot or onto the blocks. And then step that left knee back, landing back in to our tabletop nice and strong. So getting ready, we're going to add on to that and make a nice little class. I'm going to put coming into our tabletop. Starting our sequence off, we're going to go through 3 cat-cows. So moving with your breath. Pushing down through that floor on your exhale. Once more. Coming back to tabletop, I'm just going to prep for that step forward. Inhale to reach the foot back. Exhale, I'm going to step that right foot forward in between the hands, kind of heel toeing it here, pressing through the foot. Inhale to lift up, low lunge, send those hips forward. Exhale, cactus the arm, puff up through that chest. Inhale to straighten the knees, lift up through the hands. Exhale to lunge forward, cactus arms. Once more. Keeping this lunge, I'm going to reach the arms back behind me like I'm holding that beach ball. And then slowly hinge forward as I sweep the hands down, reaching overhead. Thinking about the crown of the head growing tall again, just like we did in tabletop, reaching the hands in front of me. Pushing down through that front foot. This is a lot on the front leg. And then exhale, we're going to come back, reach the hands back behind us, holding that beach ball again. So one more time. Inhale, slowly lunging forward, reaching forward. As I bow, reach forward. And we're going to stay right here, lowering the hands down to the blocks or the floor. Tuck that back toe, lifting up, pyramid legs. Bowing that crown down. From here, I'm going to take the hands, so still framing the foot, but we're going to reach back behind us, pointing the fingertips back behind us, pressing those fingertips into the mat, seeing if I can bow the head just a hair more. And then we're going to come forward. Slowly begin to rotate towards the side of the mat with our hands and our feet. We're going to keep a little bend in the knees here, So we can come forward just a little bit more. Again, reaching those fingertips through the legs, the fingers pointed away from the body, and pressing those fingertips into the mat, creating a little bit of tension here, a little bit of strength. One more breath. We're going to walk the hands back underneath the face, lengthening through those legs just a little bit. We're going to plant that left hand down. Inhale as you begin to twist towards the right, reaching that right hand up overhead towards the ceiling. So we're pushing the heel of the left hand into the mat, reaching the right hand up towards the ceiling. One more breath here. Rotating back towards the mat, planting the right hand, and we're going to twist towards the left. Pushing that right palm into the mat, reaching the left hand up towards the ceiling. Coming back. We're going to come back to that pyramid, walk the hands forward, rotate the toes. Reaching back behind us with those fingertips. And we're going to come forward, lowering that back knee down, untucking the back toe. Inhale to lift the chest, reach the hands up overhead. Cactus those arms once you get there. Inhale, we're going to, almost like we're rounding forward, like we're holding a ball. Coming forward, lowering the hands down. And we're going to bring that right foot back, lowering the knee down, coming back to tabletop. We're going to shift back and forth. And coming to stillness here in our tabletop. The crown of the head growing tall, the tailbone growing long. 3 cat-cows. After your last exhale, coming back to that neutral tabletop. Nice long spine here. We're going to prep for that stepping forward with that left leg growing nice and long behind us. Inhale, step forward in between those hands. Heel toeing, getting it up in there as much as you need to. Planting down through that front foot, we'll take an inhale, reach the hands up overhead. Lunging those hips forward. Exhale, cactus. Inhale to reach the hands up overhead. We're going to sweep those hands back behind us like we're holding that beach ball in between the hands. And then exhale, hinging forward, reaching those fingertips forward. Reach, 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 reach the crown of the head growing nice and long. We're pressing into that front foot for that support and stability. Inhale, exhale, lift the chest, reach the hands back behind us, palms facing inward. Inhale, lunge forward, reach, 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 reach. Keeping this hinge here, we're going to exhale, lower the hands down. Tuck that back toe as we slowly lift into our pyramid. Getting our stance nice and supportive here, both feet firmly planted into the ground, letting that head come down towards the mat. Staying right here or walking those hands back, facing the fingertips towards that back foot. Still framing that front leg. Once we land here, pressing those fingertips into the mat, nice and firm. Nice strength here. You might feel this through the arms and the shoulder. I kind of feel it going through my low back here as well. One more breath. And we're going to release the hands And slowly start to transition to our wide-legged fold, walking the hands towards the sides, the toes pointed to the side as well. Bending into those knees a hair more than you normally would, so you can have a little bit more room to forward fold. Reaching those arms through the legs behind us, pushing those fingertips into the mat. Pressing nice and firm down, creating that little bit of tension there so you can feel that. Maybe through the arms, maybe the shoulders, maybe even down and through the back. One more nice full breath. You're going to walk those hands back, straighten through those legs a little bit more. This time we're going to start with the right hand planted underneath the face. Inhale to twist towards the left, reach the left hand up overhead. Reaching in opposite directions with those hands. Nice exhale. Once more. Rotating back towards the mat, switch those hands out, plant the left hand, twist towards the right. Reach those fingertips up towards the ceiling. Press the palm into the mat. One more breath wherever you're at. Rotating back towards the mat. We're going to make our way back to our pyramid, walking everything to face the front. Readjusting through our legs, reaching back behind us. Planting into those fingertips. Push, 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 push here. And walk those hands forward. We're going to lower that back knee. Inhale to lift. Reach the hands up overhead. Lunge forward, cactus arms. And that little rounding sensation, almost like we're like a tiger, rawr, coming forward. Planting the hands down. And then we're going to bring that left knee back in, back to our tabletop. Shifting that weight side to side. So we can go through this again. You can even add on little things here and there. We're just going to keep it simple today. If you want to come down into child's pose, just a little additional pose here. Could just be a nice soft one coming onto the forearms like I'm doing. I'm just rocking back and forth here, giving those hips and low back just a little bit of love. And just as always, at the end of any practice, just having that gratitude to your practice today. Any bit of movement that you can invite in, being grateful. Being grateful for the time, for the effort that you put out there, for your body. No matter how much movement you were able to do today, being grateful for any amount of movement. And as always, being grateful for the body, the mind, and the breath.